Hello and welcome to the Metropolitan Elites. Although we have newspapers here, they're not real newspapers. These are special lizard-style newspapers that they've changed the news differently to bias the left. To the left biased.
Just one thing I'd like to mention. Last night I saw an article on the Telegraph about Bernie Sanders, and the title was basically the only way the Democrats can beat Donald Trump is with Bernie Sanders, and it's time.
I saw that. Yeah.
It's time they realised it.
Is it kind of too late?
Well, there's this scenario been going around where it may not be too late. I mean, Bernie Sanders supporters and Bernie Sanders complain a lot about these superdelegates who have pledged their support to Hilary Clinton before the convention, which theoretically they shouldn't do, and Bernie Sanders is saying, well, if the staters overwhelmingly vote for me, then the superdelegates should come to my side. But the purpose of the superdelegates is to get into a situation. In 1980 they had a candidate that was very popular but was never going to win the general election. So in 1984 they instituted this sort of system, and the idea was the superdelegates could influence the result of the presidential nomination so that no one could be elected who would never win the general election. Well, we're getting into that scenario now where if Bernie Sanders wins the majority or a big majority of the remaining caucuses, sort of let's say 9 out of the last 10 or whatever, which is looking eminently possible on the polling, it requires him to win California, which is, it's looking a bit dodgy, but if he wins California, he may lose New Jersey, but he'd still have enough to say, actually, he's won more in the last second half of the primary, of the nomination, than Obama did. And in the key swing states that are often seen as required, like Ohio, to win the presidency, Hillary Clinton is basically polling level with Donald Trump. But Donald Trump's favourables are going up and Hillary Clinton's are going down. She's got the worst favourables of any presidential nominee ever. That actually the superdelegates could look at this, get a little bit, get itchy feet, so to speak, and switch their allegiance to Bernie Sanders because he's the guy who can beat Trump.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
I still can't see it, but imagine.
I mean, it is. I mean, it's pretty unlikely. I mean, for Bernie Sanders to do it straight away, he's got to win 66% of the vote in the remaining elections, which is pretty unlikely. But I mean, it's definitely worth him staying into the end, because if anything changes, because don't forget you've got this email server thing going on, which is a little bit more serious than people.
The fact that it's gone on and on.
Well,
and on. Yeah.
there's never going to be an impeachment there, but there's obviously a reason why Hillary Clinton decided to put a personal email server in a wardrobe in her bedroom.
Yeah, that's quite strange.
There's a reason. Like, most people don't think about that one. They set up a Gmail account or whatever. Remember, Sarah Palin had that Yahoo, and someone hacked in and downloaded all her emails.
They guessed the password.
Yeah. So there's obviously stuff going on there that she doesn't want in the public domain, which is embarrassing now. Anyone can guess what that is. It's not going to be security stuff, which would mean she'd be impeached, because there's just no reason for it.
And that's the problem, is it? What is it then? What has she done?
You would guess it's probably financial stuff. It's
selling weapons.
It's probably her transcripts of her speeches to Goldman Sachs and people like that, and sort of people who've donated to the Clinton Foundation. Maybe they've got something in return, and maybe there's something in those emails which would show that, which would be incredibly embarrassing. Yeah, it's not impeachable, but it's embarrassing. And if that becomes public, sort of round about convention time, or even worse, after the convention during the presidential nomination, she would look, with her negatives as they are, people really don't like Hillary Clinton. It would just make it worse.
Yeah.
And when people say there's no way Trump's going to win this thing, I don't think that's a shoo-in. I really don't. I think these are incredible times. And Trump's going to change his message now.
Yeah, it's already happening, isn't it?
Yeah.
He said the Muslim thing. Oh, it's only a suggestion. I didn't mean
You didn't take it seriously, did you?
But you're right, that's the thing. Although it's completely ridiculous, changing track from being on the right, it doesn't matter because I've been reading what the media is saying about Trump supporters is. I mean, there's an article here in Guardian, but I've seen a few things. They're not the people you think they are. They're not rabid, to the stereotypical Southern state KKK nutters and everything like that. They're not. They're just completely disenchanted with the whole system, and you've got this ridiculous guy saying change.
So I mean, So there's this scenario going on where Bernie Sanders, come the convention, the superdelegates could look at it. Bernie Sanders is, in every state he wins against Donald Trump. In the key swing states, he wins against Donald Trump. And he amongst independents, which I need to win this thing, he polls much higher than Donald Trump. Like, it's a 12 point difference or something like that.
Yeah.
Whereas Hillary Clinton, she's not doing so well on that front. So the Democrats, they want to win. And if it's starting to look dicey for Hillary Clinton, there is a chance that the superdelegates will switch over. And although Bernie Sanders won't win the popular vote, maybe, with the superdelegates, he could be pushed over the line. Now, I'm not actually sure what Bernie Sanders would do in that situation. I'm not sure he would want to receive the nomination with that, in what he would consider legitimate. Yeah. Because that kind of goes against everything he's been speaking against. The establishment is lining up for him in that scenario. Yeah,
but that's just that. So that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, if from the establishment's point of view, they've got one establishment person in Hilary. So, what if it was Sanders Trump? Isn't that a lose-lose situation? Well, what will they do? They don't want Sanders either. It depends who we're talking about, really, isn't it? But the establishment in America don't want Sanders in, and would basically have to sabotage him because it would change everything. But if the alternative is someone with their finger on the button,
well, that's the thing. I mean, you're looking at the Trump alternative. Yeah, they're looking at Trump, and I would guess they would do anything to stop Trump.
Yeah,
becoming president.
If he really is the person that he's pretending to be, then it's Armageddon, isn't it? Mm-hmm. But is it? We don't really know. But I suppose it's that unknown. You know exactly what Bernie Sanders thinks. Trump is playing a game, and we don't really know. And he doesn't probably. He's not obviously not an intellectual in many ways, and so he probably doesn't know what he's doing either.
Yeah, but you've also got to look at. You're right, but you've also got to look at what it means for the GOP, for Trump to go on and win this thing. Yeah, it means they have absolutely no control whatsoever. Mm. And one of the things that they use to keep their politicians in line is that they can say, okay, you stick with the party on this, then next time we'll give you a senior cabinet post or whatever. Mm-hmm. But if Trump's going out without the blessing of the GOP or anything like that and winning this thing, it means they've got nothing to bargain with.
Yeah.
And other people are gonna try the same. Come the next time.
So do you think the GOP are actually better off with Clinton winning the election?
Yeah.
Long-term GOP terms.
Yeah, I think so, because it will mean. If Clinton wins, I think the GOP will take a long, hard look at themselves and think, we can't go on like this. We are basically looking at oblivion. But
it also means with Clinton they can successfully play the anti-establishment position, the ridiculous anti-establishment position. But with Clinton, the establishment person, they can start to play that again.
Yeah.
For the next election.
The issue with capturing the anti-establishment mood is the anti-establishment mood only lasts for so long.
That's true.
Once that's vented, let's say Bernie Sanders gets elected, that anti-establish sort of sentiment will kind of fizzle away a bit because it's been expressed, in some way, and that would leave the GOP sort of, they've got a handle on something that's not really gonna win them an election. What they actually need is for Hilary to be elected. They hate Hillary, yeah. They really, really hate her.
Yeah.
And it will focus their minds, and they'll look at it and say, well, how are we going to win elections now? How, you know, and the only conclusion they can come up with, we've got to moderate our message.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's really what needs to happen. You know, you look at, quite often it's easy for us to say, well, we need Labour to get in, or, you know, a slightly more left-wing party to get into office, and everything will be fine. Yeah, but it's not that. What you want is your opposition to moderate their message.
Yeah.
So they're close to you. So
move the centre of gravity.
Yeah, it moves the centre of gravity, and you know that people start talking about issues which are much more important to you, instead of reducing tax by a penny for trillionaires and stuff like that. You know, we start talking about public services and stuff like that, and how we're going to pay for it properly.
Housing.
Yeah, so I mean, that's the upshot. If Hilary gets elected, the GOP will seriously consider their future, because it is in peril at the moment.
Yeah.
And moderate their message, which will be better for the world, I think.
Thank you very much. More news next week from the news, which is all lies and bias. The metropolitan elite's bias. These two are so biased, it's untrue. Who are they? Who are these two people biased?
We didn't do our Reddit poll.
I know. Next week we'll do another Reddit poll.
Yeah, we'll do another Reddit poll or a Facebook thing
Yeah.
next week.
So
Maybe we filter it out, you never know.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. See you next week.